Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to a bit of a news round special. It is Sunday, the 20th of July. I am absolutely leaky because it is red hot where I am on holiday. I am coming into the last few days of my holiday, which is a bit of a shame, but I always wonder, like, I was thinking the last day, you're looking forward in a way to getting home, but then obviously you get home and it's absolutely shitting it down, so you're not so much. So I'm going to enjoy every last bit of sun I possibly can. But before I start enjoying every last bit of sun I could possibly get, you know who I am, Dave Davis, coming to you with a lot. There's just a lot going on at the moment. And to be honest, a little bit annoyed with Michael and Richard because I was hoping for a bit of a wind down in this bit of the holiday, maybe a quiet patch, but no. The two fuckers are right on it, aren't they? Doing all their bits as we speak. And also, they usually have a Friday, don't they? That is their transfer day normally, Friday. But seems like Saturday and Sunday. They maybe couldn't get it done in time. Maybe there's things going on, which we are bound to talk about. We've got an Ornstein bomb. We've got various rumours. We've got comments from people as well. And there really is only one place to start with comments. It's not even in the Liverpool stratosphere. Well, it is really, isn't it? But it relates to Newcastle and their manager or head coach, Eddie Howe, and talking about Alexander Isak, of course. Now, he didn't travel with them to Celtic, didn't he? They got hammered there. There's probably some joke about Pope and crosses and struggling. But anyway, didn't go with him. And his honest comments, maybe too honest. I don't know if he played it that well, Eddie Howe. But he did say, with him not travelling, it was my decision. He travelled back to Glasgow with us, but I decided to send him home due to the speculation around him. The last thing he wanted to be is sat in the stand watching. That wasn't fair to him. But I'm confident he will be a Newcastle player come the end of the window. So many things that throws open. Just to be clear, it wasn't he's not for sale. This is, you can say what you want type of thing. It wasn't that, as many managers have done in the past. It was confidence. You wonder if he was almost trying to tell himself a little bit. And there's other comments that he makes, which we'll go into as well. But I think only a fool or the most hardened Geordie would think that Alexander Isak hasn't told Eddie Howe he wants to go to Liverpool. I think that's just a given for most, isn't it, right now? And interestingly enough, and I don't know if he'll regret revealing this, Eddie Howe also said, yes, I've had discussions with him, but that's not abnormal. I respect a player's career and how short it is. Alex has been really good, he's trained really well, and I realise there will be noise around him. Now, I'm going to be honest on this. I said in previous pods, I don't want to go too much into the Newcastle side. I've got a lot of time for Newcastle as a football club. Maybe not what's happened recently, but, as a fan base as well. But I literally have been for breakfast, for those who can't see, my kind of in a Liverpool training top that was bought for me for Christmas. So I walked down to breakfast in the resort, and there was a big bunch of Geordies on the table, and it was quite clear because they were all wearing Newcastle football kits. Fair play to them, no issue with that at all. But we sat quite near them and they kind of nudged and they smiled at me and I smiled back. So all good natured. And as we were in the coffee queue for one of them, one of the guys said, a bit strange what you're doing, isn't it? And I hadn't plotted he was talking football. I was like, this is the place where we keep together this special espresso thing. But anyway, I was like, what do you mean? Oh, well, only offering 120 million thinking you can get Isak. And we had a little bit of a debate, let's call it that way, because it's friendly, it's on holiday, there's no point in getting into it too much. But it is interesting that Newcastle think they've almost beaten Liverpool in some way. And we were talking about Ekitike, who will come to as well, and he said, we've made you pay extra. But my point was, you had a bid, and I said, just working off obviously what we've been told, you had a bid for 70 million, which got rejected. And I'll come on to what we are set to have accepted, obviously the structure and the outline. So if Newcastle had wanted Ekitike, if they could have got Ekitike, they were always going to have to pay more anyway, weren't they? So I was kind of a bit befuddled by that. But do you know what? Football fans are on, opinions, are on holiday and all that. So that was interesting. The only other thing I want to call out from Eddie Howe is the fact is that I chose to send him home. The last thing Alex wants if he's not playing is to be sat in the stands, and under that scrutiny, he's not going to play today. We mutually agreed he shouldn't be here. Also did say, that there's been no formal approach for him. I don't think anyone's buying this at all. The comments of, instead of dampening the speculation, just put petrol on the fire, to be honest, haven't they, realistically? And I just talking to a few of the journeys that I've seen on the resort, the way I would see it, and this isn't being derogatory about Newcastle at all, just factually, there's a football food chain, isn't there? We've been on the wrong end of it with the likes of Coutinho, Luis Suarez, Fernando Torres, bits in history. They've not really had that star player leave, that hurt, learnt not to get too attached to a player just yet. And, I think there's a bit of, I could be wrong on this, but just from a few I'm reading, arrogance. But at the same time, you should never just label a fan base across the board. Because I was reading a few Geordie bits, the various comment on the Liverpool site through AI, saying that it doesn't really make sense what Eddie Howe was saying. So even they've got question marks. And I think if you're a Newcastle fan as well, the fact that you missed out on, and I'm probably getting this wrong, but it's Newcastle business, Delap and Buemo, Cunha, João Pedro, James Trafford now, by the looks of it, as well as Hugo Ekitike, they cannot land anyone. And it keeps coming back to wages, doesn't it, realistically, and that whole side. So, yeah, there is a lot of question marks across the board. But turning it back to Liverpool, looks like one's coming for definite, doesn't it? It's not certain yet, but as Fabrizio Romano tweeted a few hours ago, Liverpool and Eintracht Frankfurt are in contact today to seal the structure of the deal for Hugo Ekitike. The player's been clear with Liverpool, Eintracht, they wants to move to Liverpool. A 6-year deal has already been agreed. I mean, the way they're meant to move in this summer, people, to add Ekitike to Wirtz, Kerkez, Frimpong, Marmadashvili already. And yeah, there's still a fair bit of July left to go at the same time as well. Now, if you look at the various stories, and again, fees are always going to be different depending on the side. Romano tweeted, didn't he, that the package is worth up to 90 million euros, with add-ons also part of the proposal being structured between the two clubs. Now, the Audi bomb came, didn't it? Pornstein put his tweet out about 8 hours ago or so, give or take, depending on when you're listening to this, saying there is an agreement between the clubs. There's work needed to formally get it done, Ornstein said. It's expected in the next day or so. And again, a lot of people saying it could even be today or, very soon. But this was the key line in the tweet. If all the add-ons are met, Frankfurt expect or anticipate a club record sale of 95 million euros. So not far off, sort of 83, 84 million quid, which is interesting. And when I say that, because Sky Sports also had that the offer was 69 million plus 9 million add-ons, so about 78. Now, to be fair, they're all kind of in the same region-ish, aren't they? You'll never get the exact figure from either clubs, and no doubt, as we always find out, UK media will purport it to be lower than what the German side does, so it's the selling club that it will favour in that regard. So, yeah, we will see what it ends up being reported as officially. And it all seems resigned from the Frankfurt side, as their coach, Topmuller, sort of said when asked about it, because he didn't play a single minute, did he? Hugo Ekitike in their friendly said, in case you're any doubt, these are the quotes of his, "This is a bitter loss. We lost our absolute top player. Omar in the window. The other one, as in Ekitike, stepped in, has developed sensationally. It may well be that too is history." Don't think there's much wriggle room in those quotes, is there, from there? So it's just a case of when, isn't it? And there are suggestions it could be today. So, I mean, I still think it's unlikely. That is my personal opinion. We've said on the transfer show again and again and again this summer, Isak will be attempted for, Ekitike will be the one. We said that repeatedly, me and Trev, and it does look like it's bearing that way out. However, so being a Tory politician, but there still seems a remote, and I'm saying remote, chance that could it be both? Could it be Nunes and Chiesa, Diaz out the door, and Isak and Ekitike? It'd be interesting on that one, wouldn't it? Because you got, they're both forwards. Ekitike can play from the left as an option there, so convert. You've got a lot of interchangeable parts. If that is the plan, it would be absolutely fascinating. And deep dive wise, I know Bart was joined by Jack on TMM. I set that up. I made sure they did it to run the figures of direct comparison between Isak and Ekitike, looking at the price tag and looking at the flexibility within that Liverpool system. So well worth a listen, even though I'm not on it. And I did set that up because it was really important, because as Michael Edwards will tell you, if you leave these nerds to their own devices, anything can happen. I mean, it already worried me that we've got our spectacled nerd in Bart's ending up like Michael Edwards' version of Dr. Ian Graham. He's on every chat show or pod, isn't he? It's like after the whole Nunes thing, but obviously a genius at the same time, etc. Don't want Bart's going down that route, do we? Right on his tail. So we needed to keep him busy. So well worth a listen. So with that, I mean, it's all moving quick. And the only other thing to mention is 3 articles I've seen this morning. It's moved from not for sale Isak at all to, as the Telegrapher Mike McCraw said, Liverpool's interest in Isak is long-standing, and this is the line, but Newcastle owners will not accept anything lower than their valuation of the 25-year-old. That figure of around 150 million would be a record fee for a player at a British club. Now, that is absolutely different to the not for sale at any price, isn't it? There's just, and there's a few others reported that type of thing as well. So things are progressing in this sense. In other things progressing, Liverpool, or the majority of Liverpool squad, is off to the Far East today, aren't they? Setting off for that tour before they play AC Milan in about 6 days' time, isn't it? To start that one off. So they're flying off with the squad. I'm not sure. It's worth just keeping an eye. I don't know what time they depart, or obviously they haven't yet, depending on when you're watching or listening to this, people. But natural questions will be, are the likes of Luis Diaz, Darwin Núñez on that flight? Ben Doak, Javier is probably still rested, etc. I.e., the players that you think are going to have to finance this. Because as much as we're having great fun spending all this money, there's always Liverpool got to be a balancing of the books, haven't there? So that is the next thing we're paying attention for. So just keep an eye out when that's announced, who is on the plane to the Far East and who isn't at the same time. People who have already gone out, Patrick Berger and Vladimir Šmicer. Not really for the squad, but obviously there's going to be PR stuff for Liverpool to do, sponsorship deals, etc., etc. They're the Far East, fair play to them. If you are a Red from the Far East, they're always mad when we land and do all the bits. They always go insane for us, don't they, as well? So they will give a warm welcome across the board. But yeah, it's just weighing a little bit on sales if they're still there. I mean, even this morning, this whole Bayern Munich are advancing, they're definitely going to make a bid for Luis Diaz. We'll make it then. Honestly, that bit is almost boring me now already. And I know things take time in football, but I've seen now 6 or 7 different articles about they're prepared to make an improved bid on the 58.5 million. Okay, do it. Same with Al Hilal for Darwin Núñez. I know a few journalists were speaking on that yesterday. Just get it done. It does feel like I'm intrigued to see how Liverpool manage their sales as well. Yeah, it's the likes of Edwards, the expert at the helm. But yeah, people will know we need to sell. Hopefully, everything should be moving, shouldn't it, this week, either way, whether from the Far East and planes going back and forth, or people not travelling, so we'll keep an eye out for that. And the final thing I really wanted to say of this was we got a bit of info from Anfield Index, or through Anfield Index, our various sources, and even on holiday, people, which is great, sending little bits to me. Plane tracking is all I'm going to say. If you're into your plane tracking, maybe just keep an eye on recent flights down south from locations that may relate to Sweden, Liverpool area, Newcastle, Saudi Arabia possibly. We'll see if anything comes out over the next day or so. But there we go, ladies and gents. We'll see what develops today. We might get a fully confirmed Hugo Ekitike deal. We might get closer to structure. We might hear more news on Isak. We might hear more news on departures. We will just have to see. But in simple terms, at Liverpool Football Club with Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards, it is all go right now. But on Sunday, the 20th of July, that was another news round for Anfield Index.